Hello. Welcome to another installment of the Dangerous Minds podcast. And before we begin, I would like everybody to close their eyes and bow their heads with me. I would like to take a moment to mourn for the United States of America. We all need to pray. We all need to pray. Because y'all done fucked up now. But in all seriousness, though, what a week we have had. And for those around the world that have been living under a rock, the biggest news to come out of this week, as of Tuesday, the President of the United States, the 45th President of the quote-unquote free nation, is none other than the executive producer of The Apprentice, Donald J. Trump. Honestly, it caught me completely off guard. I was just like a lot of people who had the theory that Donald Trump was put in place just to make Hillary Clinton look better by comparison. And it wasn't until, we got closer to the actual election day, I started realizing, this motherfucker might actually win. I live in North Carolina, a traditionally red state, and I started seeing a lot more, closer we got to election day, there's more Trump supporters coming out of the woodworks, people wearing buttons and hats and have a certain type of rhetoric. I would see them at work. I would see them at the grocery store. I would see them everywhere. And it's like they were nowhere to be found. Like nobody was a outright Trump supporter that was so out in the open about it. And now all of a sudden it's like the closer you get, the more they start to show up. You started realizing it's a lot more of them out here than I originally thought. So then I was like, oh shit, he might actually win. So I went on my whole thing about voting. And that was another big thing to come out of this week. And I plan on getting on everything, like my thoughts about the election, my thoughts about, my opinions on voting, because a lot of people have been asking me. I don't know why, but a lot of people were very surprised that I actually believed in voting and I wanted people to vote and I encouraged people to vote. And people were actually very confused by that, so I thought I'd, explain that to the public, the people that's asking. But before we get into that, I'd like to give a plug. A to be determined location, but there will be a show. I will be performing on the 10th of December. That is a Saturday, and I'll be performing with this dope group here in Durham called Innocence. I'd like to give a shout out to my homie Michael, one of the two men, one of the duo that invited me to be on the show. I really appreciate that. It'll be right here in the 919 area. Not exactly sure. I know it's going to be an art gallery of sorts. It should be dope. I will be releasing more information on this on my Instagram page for the podcast and for my artist page, my personal page. So it's either at Vinny Dangerous, that's Vinny with an I-E, Dangerous, all one word, or the Dangerous Minds podcast, not the Dangerous Minds podcast, all one word, on Instagram. And also, I've been plugging it real hard. Yes, I Am a Dreamer will be coming out December 1st on my birthday. On my 24th birthday, my EP will be released on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, Tidal, Deezer Music, I think. Every streaming platform that is popularized here in the United States will be hosting my project, and I will also have physical copies of the project. The digital copies will be $7.99, and the physical copies will be $10 all out. So Anybody want either one, I'd appreciate the support. Keep the dream alive. The music is dope. I promise you. You have my word. I put it on my grave. Please show your support. Just like you've supported the podcast, and I really appreciate that. So, let's get right into it. So, let's talk about my opinion on the election, the result itself. I saw a really nice quote on Facebook that really summed it up, how I feel about Donald Trump supporters. First of all, fuck you. Fuck you. But the quote on Facebook sums it up because there's a lot of people coming out of the woodworks. First, there's this hashtag that was going around or still going around called Respect the Decision. And I tell y'all to go fuck yourselves because there's a lot of racist shit that's getting tossed around on there. And, there's people saying that, having some shit about black people, Mexicans, Muslims, calling them crybabies. There's people protesting right now of the decision to elect Donald Trump to president. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, and Donald Trump won the Electoral College vote. And there's been talks about getting rid of the Electoral College, which I personally agree with. And there's people outside protesting right now. And y'all already know my feeling about protesting. Protesting, like people going out there and marching in the streets and fighting, feel like they're fighting for injustice, is fine if you have an end goal in mind. Now, there is a petition going around on the internet right now that is to be signed. Basically, that could be an overturn of the decision by December 19th to make Donald Trump, to take Donald Trump out of the office and have the Electoral College switch their decision around, and then they can put Hillary in the office anyway. And I don't like the fact that decision can be made in general, not considering the situation we're in, but the fact that there's a specific group of people that are put in place that have the authority to overthrow the decision of people, of the nation, the people that you're being told that your vote counts and everything matters and all this other stuff. Like, you have the power, but then there's these people that can go in and say, well, we're just going to put whoever we want in the office so we can go in at a certain time and change our mind and take that person out of office and put who we want in office. If we decided to make a mistake in November and in December, we can come and correct that mistake. I don't like that. I don't like that there is a system put in place where people have that kind of power. But the petition and the people protesting, I do not see a correlation with that. Because if that was the case, you would not need to protest. If there was a petition, you would just go out there and try to get more names on a petition. If the petition will really do something, I'm not entirely sure. I signed it. I'll encourage you to sign it just so we can see what happens. And speaking of that, it's a good segue into... I'll get back to my feelings about Donald Trump supporters in a second. I know I kind of went off my original talking point that I was first going to start on. But what I do want to talk about is one of the biggest questions is people asking me, why do I feel like voting still matters? And it all started because I posted the day of the election. If you're not voting, then you're an idiot. And people really took that to heart. Like, people act like I called them out. Like, I tagged a lot of people that I knew was not voting. First, I didn't even know who wasn't voting. I really don't have these conversations with a lot of people. I just tell them what I'm about to do. And if you decide to do it, then that's on you. If you don't, then that's on you too. But everybody and their mama was coming out of the woodworks about, me saying that and how I shouldn't be bashing people because they don't want to vote. for one, you're talking about yourself when you say that, because you wouldn't have felt so strongly about it if it wasn't so personal to you. And two, it's you. Like, really, if you wanted to vote, you wouldn't be so strong. If you were voting, you wouldn't feel so strong about people not voting. So you're obviously one of the people that are not voting. So, and I said a very interesting thing. I said that people are defending themselves and feel so upset. Because, I mean, unless you personally have told somebody that you're not voting and they have said something about it, most times people just been talking, like, in general. Like, they don't know exactly who's not voting until they speak up and say they're not voting. And then people have their opinion on it. And then I spoke about this on the podcast before. I said that we all going to have a difference in opinions. I feel like we're all not going to agree with each other's opinion, but we can respect each other's opinion, right? So if you tell me that you're not going to vote, I'm going to have a different opinion on it. Like when I said my thing on Facebook, I was kind of jokey. Like, it wouldn't even, I posted it right before I went to work and, like, you know, just put my phone in my pocket, not even worried about it. I looked at my phone on my lunch break and I'm got like 27 comments under it. Like, you know, I got some people defending me. I got some people going against me. I got some people, you know, going at each other. I ain't replied to nothing. I was just like, dang, I didn't realize it was this deep. Not saying that I didn't think voting was that deep, but I just didn't know that it was to the point where, like, these people was going to start bickering. Like, I didn't know my comment was going to make these people act the way they did. That's why I was like, oh, dang, this is crazy. And I was in such a good mood that day. It was kind of weird. It was eerie. Like, I was such in a good mood. But, yeah, so, like, people was going back and forth, and I just didn't understand it. So I'm talking to people, and I'm basically, one of the things I said was, because I was reading their comments, and there's a lot of people, like, saying, like, oh, voting doesn't matter because of this, because of that. But it was kind of like these very comments, and I asked them to explain, and a lot of people didn't really know how to explain. Like, this is me, you know, now I'm commenting, and I'm asking, like, yo, what's the point? Like, you know, you feel like I missed the boat because I want to vote, and I have an opinion about voting, and, you know, I'm trying to get the, you know, let's have a conversation. Let's create dialogue. You know, like, you know, what is the, you know, so what is the thing I'm missing here? And it was a lot of things, like, you know, one of the big things is the Electoral College. And I just said, I don't agree with the fact that there's a system in place to where there's a group of people that can overthrow the decision of the nation, of the whole nation of people. But people don't know exactly how the Electoral College comes about. I don't like the fact there's a system, but I know that the people that are put in place are also on that ballot. So when you say you don't vote, you're giving up the power to put the people in the Electoral College. This is the this is the House of Representatives and the Senate. There are representatives within both of those branches, those parts of the government that come together for the Electoral College to say, oh, well, you know, we're going to use our super votes. And, like, people have regular votes. They have super votes. And they're going to be the ones to make the decision on who gets into the office. So a lot of people is talking. Like, it's a lot of conversation, a lot of talking, but it's not a lot of conversation. Nobody's listening. That's why I ask people, and they're not really talking to me. They're just telling me that I'm wrong because of how I'm coming at them. And what I want to say is, I'm going to have my opinion, and then don't be so quick to speak up if you don't have the knowledge to back up what you say. You just see, like, somebody told you that your vote didn't count. I feel like when even the people that are supposed to be in place, they're supposed to be these leaders and these prolific people, they are even put in place. Like a Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton, they're put in place to tell you that these things don't matter. Like, I said to myself, I wasn't entirely sure if my vote counted, but it was like, what do I have to lose? Like, let's say, for all my homies as rappers and stuff, right? Like, you get invited to go to an open mic, right? It's run by the radio station, and, they're going to be doing, an open mic. And, it could be some opportunities out there. But that means you have to take time, get yourself together, put together a set. You're not going to get paid. You're spending gas to go out that way. And you're going to be in line. Depending on how early or late you get there, you're going to be in line waiting after a bunch of other rappers. Like, this happened to me a few weeks ago. I was at this show. It was supposed to be from open mic situation. And they said, some opportunities that was going to come to people if they show up. We're going to be scouting people for next events we doing. And, I'll go, and I know I had to go get my brother from Sanford. So I'm driving an hour from Durham to Sanford, pick up my brother. I just say, I'm not going to drop you off. I'm going to bring you with me to Raleigh. So I drive straight from Sanford to Raleigh. I had made the decision early in the day, so I had packed some clothes and said I would get changed in the bathroom or something. And, so I wanted to make sure, because I said, if we got some big events and some festivals and things, the radio station and other people doing stuff out here, if they out there scouting, trying to see who they could book for these shows, and these shows are usually well perceived, it's why not? Why not take the chance? But there's also the chance, I was even thinking, there's a chance that, nothing could happen. Nothing can come from it. Other factors and stuff could come into play, and then it turns into nothing. Then I spent my money, my time, my energy, and I'm dead tired, on some shit that might not even work. And I just say, fuck it. Because if I do go and nothing happens, at least I took the chance, right? But then if I don't go, and then there's a chance that I could have made a difference, and then something could have happened, then, I feel like I missed out on that opportunity. It could have been an opportunity. It could not be an opportunity, but it really didn't take me much. And that's the thing. That scenario I gave you is not even a good scenario, because I would spend more effort and energy going to this open mic, doing my thing, spending the money to get in the club, to pay for parking, running from, Sanford, Durham to Sanford, back up to Raleigh. And I haven't even eaten yet. I'm doing way more to do that situation than to vote. Because all you had to do was go in. There was some days with some long lines, and there was some other days where you was in and out. And really, what is it about putting, some bubbles on a ballot that you feel like if you sit home and not do nothing, that you're really making a difference? That's the part I don't get. I call them selective revolutionaries, because everybody wants to get up on a high horse on stand up for shit that basically it's already shit that you didn't really care about. And now you feel like just because you heard a couple people's speeches and you heard a couple people talk about it on YouTube or on a DVD, somebody that, is well perceived and prolific and all this other stuff, you feel like they are giving you a reason to do something that you honestly just didn't want to do in the first place. And you feel like that you are standing up on some moral code. And I don't agree with that. I never agreed with that. And I don't agree with it now. It's like you don't make any significant change sitting on your ass. I say it all the time. And there's another thing I thought about. It was you realize that these people that you are fighting against, that you feel like you're rebelling against when you don't vote, these same people don't want you to vote, because they put money and time into making these laws and passing these laws to try to suppress your vote. The voter, the voter suppression, when they were doing the voter ID laws and stuff like that, that was put in place so people in our neighborhoods, black, brown, those people in those communities could not vote. I remember if it wasn't for the fact that the voter law was overturned between the primaries and the actual election, the presidential election, like they almost didn't let me vote at the primary because my ID, I didn't update the address on my ID. So that right there showed me like, oh, there may be some more to this than I don't realize. And that ballot was more than just the presidency. When I said vote, it didn't necessarily mean voting for Donald or voting for Hillary. It was about voting in general. Like, how do you say that you care about the community that you live in and you won't even take the time to try to pick the people that are in place that are directly affecting your communities? Like right here in the state of North Carolina, for example. Like Pat McCrory has really fucked some shit up with that law he was passing, and like it got rid of NCAA, and a lot of jobs and opportunities were taken out of the communities right here in North Carolina because of that shit. And he almost got back into office, and that's because a lot of us didn't come out. Like, we don't see significant change because we don't show up. Period. So that's how I feel about voting. You can disagree with me till the cows come home, but I gave you everything. So until you come at me with some facts, I don't want to hear it. You just want to sit on your ass and do nothing. I don't see people protesting the NFL. The NFL is openly punishing people for standing up and taking a stand on something that is affecting us directly with the police brutality. But people still spend their time sitting in front of that TV every Sunday, Monday, or Thursday and still contribute to those ratings. So it ain't hurting their pockets. So don't give a fuck. These protesters are all good and all, but unless you want to boycott and mess with their pockets, they don't really care. And that's bottom line. And you're not spending no money, no time, no energy when you go out there to them polls. Take the time, do the research, figure out what these candidates stand on. Don't just rely on these political campaigns they show up on TV. Do your research. Find out what these people are about. What have they done in their political past? And then make your decision. But just to sit home and say you're not going to do nothing just because you didn't want to get up off your ass and want to act like you have a stance, I don't agree with that. And that's why I feel the way I feel. But let's bring it back around because I spent a lot of time on that and I'm on a time limit. The quote that I was talking about on Facebook and how I feel about Donald Trump supporters is like, not all Donald Trump supporters are necessarily racist, but all of them decided that racism isn't a deal breaker. End of story. That's why I don't fuck with y'all. And that can go the same with misogyny. That can go the same with Islamic phobia or discrimination against Mexican people. You know, just all of the offensive things that this man has said, and you voted him into office. Even though Hillary won the popular vote, there is still a large portion of the population that still voted for this man. And that's why it's got me looking at everybody different. I want the Donald Trump supporters to come out of the woodworks. I want you to either explain to me why you're not a racist or just prepared to be made an enemy, because your decision to make this man the president of the United States has made you an enemy of mine in my eyes. I don't trust you. And there's a lot of people who are feeding into the whole narrative of Donald Trump being elected to, for like these white people coming out being real disrespectful. I seen a video where there's these little kids in a classroom yelling, build a wall. And like there's little Hispanic children crying in the video. And I'm thinking, damn, that's fucked up. But I also seen a white dude get beat up in Chicago because they thought that he was a Donald Trump supporter. So a bunch of black dudes came up and just whooped his ass. This is where this country is heading because of the toxic behavior that Donald Trump was spewing during his campaign. Hillary was corrupt, but she wasn't openly trying to incite a race war. Because Donald Trump being a quote-unquote outsider or real is just him speaking the racist minds of all of his supporters. And they're feeling since he won that he's right. So now they're starting to come out. They're starting to come out a little bit more vocally and violently. And to that I say, and to the people who want to do a victory march in Charlotte, the Ku Klux Klan, don't give them motherfuckers no attention. At the end of the day, the law isn't going to do anything. The fact that the Ku Klux Klan can meet and, do their parades and their hate rallies and all this other stuff, but Black Lives Matter protesters and organizers are pepper sprayed and maced and, everything else, just lets you know that that's not going to work. The system's not going to work in that situation. Beating them up, getting into fights with them, just going to put y'all in jail. And I'm not about to be running scared of some motherfuckers that not even man enough to do what they doing to my face because they have to cover their face with these white hoods. Just don't pay them no attention. These motherfuckers thrive off of our attention. And there is a genuine fear out there because of Donald Trump being elected. And I see people already posting on social media. As soon as the election was over, people was already like, it doesn't matter who's in the office because Jesus is always going to be king. And I tell them people, y'all need to shut up. Because y'all are not even the biggest targets in this whole situation. The biggest targets in this whole situation are the people that don't even believe what you believe in. One of those being the Islamic community, that some people are genuinely feeling like they need to flee the country. Not just because they're unhappy with the decision, but because of what this decision could mean for their just livelihood in this country. Like I said, people are getting bold. People are acting out more vocally and violently. And it's turning into a place where people are genuinely feared. And if you look on the totem pole, Mexicans and Muslims are right up there, the people that are the most likely to be targeted by this new wave of racist, bigot, Donald Trump supporters. And I'm only calling them new race because they've already been there, but they have decided to take off their mask and come out of their sheep's clothing and show us exactly what kind of terrible wolves they are. But I say, fuck them. Don't give them no attention. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's going to be rough. If Donald Trump is really as bad as he say he is, or if the people around him are going to let him be as bad as he can be, then yeah, it's going to be a rough 4 years, but we can make it. I'm just going to leave y'all with this. This is how I feel about this whole situation. I was a little devastated after the election. I was a little pissed off. I took it as a personal insult that this man was the president of the United States because of how he felt about me, how he felt about Muslim people, Islamic people, how he felt about women. I took it as a personal insult because the minorities of these countries were not heard by the majority. But then I realized, isn't that us every day? Even when Obama was president, we wasn't being heard. Unarmed black men and women were being killed in the street by the police and caught on camera, but they were still getting off under his tutelage in his office. And I'm not expecting Obama to be my Superman, but I'm just saying that it wasn't that much different. It might be a little worse, but that don't mean I can't get through it. Like Obama was a lot of people's fallback, that we had a black president, so it wasn't all that bad. Now maybe people will stand up. Now maybe people will stop being so timid and try to come up with a reason or an excuse why they shouldn't stand up and do something. And then people will finally start acting. But no matter what happens between now and 2020, or hell, might be between now and 2024, no matter what happens, I know we gonna make it. And that's what I'm gonna leave y'all with. It's your boy, Mr. Dangerous, and I'm just got wrapped up another episode of the Dangerous Minds podcast. Remember, no matter what, just keep your head up, stay focused, and just know we're gonna be out. We're gonna be good.